Hello everyone. I am Karan Kumar, Public Relations Officer at Sindh Educational Organization, and I welcome you all in today's session. As you know, SEO used to bring sessions on different topics, whether these are educational opportunities, career counseling, motivational, personal development, hygiene, and much more. And today we have our guest, Miss Ali Aslam. Welcome, Miss Alia. She will be guiding you on CPD, continued professional development. She is a curriculum planner, teacher, trainer, content writer. So it's over to you, Miss Alia.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to use two laptops because of the content and the camera because the camera doesn't work with this one. I'm really sorry about the delay. Yes, some people call it continuing professional development, and many people call it continued professional development as well. What it stands for? It actually means when you're working, you complete your education, you have a degree, and you plan on going for a job, and the job starts. In the beginning, you are very eager, and you plan on working well and everything. As time passes, you lose the hang of your learning and you start feeling that there are new things come emerging and there are some more things that you haven't done, or perhaps things occur in the workplace where you realize that you are not familiar with the things that you're seeing. This is where CPD kicks in. CPD is continued professional development. It actually enables learning and it makes us conscious of the areas where we would like to learn and the skills that we would like to acquire. What is CPD and why is it so important? It is very important. Why is it very important? Because when you're working and you realize that I saw that thing and I was unable to solve it and I couldn't understand it completely, maybe for the time being you could get away with it, but you couldn't actually control the situation and you couldn't actually take a hang of it, or you couldn't actually master it and deliver it, especially in the teaching profession where you see things and you see things which are not in your knowledge. You immediately go to study. You go back, you do the research, you come back with new resources, and the new resources are actually there to enable you to handle the classroom content or other things like that effectively. So CPD is actually enabling learning and it is making you conscious and it is making you proactive to make efforts rather than passive and reactive learning. For example, there is a situation in the classroom, maybe let's say it's a science teacher and the teacher is in the middle of the lecture and some new topic appears or some new question from the student, because actually when we go in the classroom we go with our own syllabus and our own lesson planning, but kids have queries, and the query that the child comes up with is not related to what you have prepared and what there is in your lesson plan, and you think that you're going to take time and you need in the class. And many times it happens. Many times teachers go and they say that I'll come back to you with the answers in a day or two, and we always go back to the students with the answers. But this is not proactive. Maybe when we say proactive learning, we say that we don't let such instances occur in the classroom. When we are prepared and when we know that the knowledge is growing every day, so we feel the need to keep learning and growing in our knowledge and our skill set. Now, I would like to see, I would ask a question and I would like you guys to answer me in the chat box, and I'm going to read the answers. That how many of you are actually students of education, and how many of you are practicing teachers? Good, student hai. Amna Sattar is also a student. Sabah Ehsan is a student. Final year education student. Very good. Those who are actually students will get to know the classroom, or maybe you have gone through some of those teacher practices where the students are asked to go to the classrooms and they're required to actually deliver lesson plans in the classrooms. But the thing is, actual classroom planning for a classroom, being responsible for a syllabus for entire annual year is entirely something else. PhD scholar Muhammad Ijaz Ahsan, very nice. We still don't have many participants. I'm hoping that they'll keep coming with the time. So when I say CPD, I mean that maybe I have started working and I have been there for like 10 years or 12 years, and I feel the need that new teaching practices, new teaching methodologies that I have seen around some other teachers practicing, maybe in my own institute or maybe in some other place, I would like to know that. So CPD is a proactive rather than reactive. Reactive is when there is a need, a question arises, and you feel the need that, oh my God, I didn't know the answer. I must go back and I must find the answer. This is a reactive learning. But CPD is proactive learning because it makes you go ahead. It makes you look for opportunities where you can actually build your skills. Now, when I say build your skills, I would like to ask another question. What is the skill set required for a teacher? And I would like you to write the answers in the chat box, and I'm going to read them to you because there are so many skills and there's so many learning and things that a teacher needs to know before she enters the classroom. So what do you think, according to you, are good skills that should be there in a teacher? I'm waiting for your replies. Communication skills, interpersonal knowledge, about very good. Subject knowledge is very important. Communication skills, another very important, not only in teaching, but in every other professional workplace. You need to communicate. Teaching methodology, like understanding, student adopting behavior, very good. You need to know the child psychology, the teaching methodology. Success to this method. Okay. Yes, perhaps Naiha Mirani wants to say that whatever question the child has asked, the teacher should be able to go to the level of the child, very good, and make the child understand it. Reflective, practitioner, communication, subject matter expert, content, and pedagogical, both knowledge. Yes, there are so many things. And this is where I want to patience, feedback, cautious learning, very good. MashaAllah, very good responses. Now I'll move forward and we're going to go back to all these skills and touch them once again during the session. Now I'm going to define CPD in a proper way. It is a process by which alone and with others professionals acquire. Now, this CPD can be my individual program, and this CPD can be me doing it with my colleagues or with my class fellows or with others, with my, other player. Maybe I may be joining a degree to improve my learning, maybe taking a workshop with my institute, or maybe my employer has sent me somewhere to go with more learning. So this is a process which is done either alone or with other professionals, which acquire and develop critically the knowledge and skills essential to good professional thinking, planning, and practice. Now, these three areas, we're going to discuss them again and again during the session. Professional thinking, planning, and practices. Now, thinking is the beginning and planning is the second step, and practices when you have thought about the plan and you have made proper planning and then you put them into practice. Independent and organized CPD. Again, independent CPD is as a teacher, I am teaching and I realize sometimes that perhaps me teaching language in the classroom to the students, let's say grade 5 primary level or maybe elementary or any other, I feel the need that somehow I don't come up with good vocabulary teaching techniques or maybe grammar teaching methodology or writing practices. I need to go and find them. So I feel the need that these are my weak areas and I start looking for courses around me, maybe online. It is a blessing that we can go online these days. And it may be from the institutes where I have to go and regularly study full time. So this is an independent CPD. And an organized CPD is for those of us who are already working in some institutes and schools or universities or other areas. They know that every time there is a gap in some of the tasks, and especially summer break or winter break for teaching institutions, because this is the ideal time to uplift the capacity of their teachers. So the employer organizes a CPD program, and the employer as a whole to the entire department, or maybe a math department. There is a workshop for math department, or there may be a workshop for language teachers or science teachers, project work or constructive in any other way of training. So that's called organized CPD. So you can either go with CPD independently, or you can go with your employer in an organized way as well. Quality matters. Why is CPD important for us as teachers? Why? It is important because it is very important to maintain the quality. I don't try to quote it much, but I still remember when I was doing my bachelor's way back in 1990s, and there was a teacher, English teacher. She was a very senior teacher at the college, and it was a very well reputed college. And we were reading a story. It was in Italian. All the characters were Italian in it. The setting was it in Italy, and it was a very interesting story. She was trained to read the English. She was an English graduate. She was masters of, I don't even remember her qualification, but it should be at least masters, because we were studying at bachelor's level. And the word senior appeared many times, and she read it signal many times. So as a student sitting in that class, I grew up with the feeling that my teacher needs to learn the, at least for that, for a particular story, she should have learned the pronunciation of the words. For example, if you're reading something in English, but there are French words in it, the pronunciation will be different from the Italian word. So, what my point is that I felt the need that my teacher could have done better. So, when I say teacher quality, I don't mean it in the eyes of the peers or in the eyes of the colleagues or the employer, the principal or the HM. When I say it, I mean it that I want the teacher quality in the eyes of the students as well, because she is the authority over there. And when the teacher does not, she does not have the, again, many people wrote it in the chat box. If they don't have the subject knowledge, the teacher quality is not going to be there. So quality is very important. Opportunity for teacher development that are firmly provided by the ministry, institution, organization, or a teacher educator. This is actually organized CPD example. When especially for our government teachers, I have seen there are refresher courses regularly every year. The teachers have to go, the attendance is mandatory, and they attend these workshops where they're given practical tasks and they're given reading materials. And after the end of the workshop, they come out far more learned than they went inside. But not all CPD is effective. And why is that? Because if I am a language teacher and I have done certain degrees before going into the classroom, they may be, for a language teacher, I need to have at least masters in the language that I am teaching. Let's say it's English or Urdu or French or any other language. So I need to have a master's degree in that. And along with that, I need to have some qualification in the methodology of teaching that language, the one that I'm going to take up as a profession. So the only qualification that I am going to have is not going to be my subject knowledge, but also the knowledge of how to teach. So knowing and knowing how to teach are two different things. So when you're picking up a program where you want to go and join to grow in your professional development, you need to see that what is the outline of that program, what are your needs, what do you need to do and learn and improve in, and what is the plan that or the program that they are doing. So it is very important. Otherwise, no matter how many days you're going to sit in that workshop, you're not going to get much out of it. Goals of CPD. The defining objective of CPD is to improve student learning, thus development in teachers that improve student learning. Eventually, if you see the basic outcome of every lesson is, we always begin our lessons with objectives. The outcomes that we would by the end of this lesson, we would expect our student to be able to do this, to understand this, to reproduce the knowledge, to whatever our objective is. So every time we enter the classroom with defined objectives that we would be achieving by the end of that class. These objectives may not be achieved in one class or one lesson, or they may even go on to more than one class or 2 days or 3 days lesson. But whatever the objectives are, they should be attainable. In the very same way, when you are going to go look for a CPD plan, you have to see that defining your development goals, your areas of improvement, and whatever you are learning is going to eventually improve what student learning. Because if all that you have gone through during the classes and the workshops and the degrees does not end up in the improvement of student learning experiences, as a teacher, you haven't gained anything. Okay. Mansur Ali says, in today's modern world, the teacher should focus on PLO. Very good. That's exactly what I'm saying. Pedagogical learning objective rather than just as a how? I don't think there is any school that would compromise on student learning outcomes. This is perhaps I would like to know more about the particular place where PLOs are more important than SLOs, because everything eventually depends upon student learnings. I know that there is a stress on our students of getting the grades, on our teachers of passing the class, and the examination system and the evaluation system is a very different thing. But still, student learning cannot be compromised by anybody. I don't think any teacher would ever prefer anything else over SLOs. Nobody can compromise on that. And you can go back in time and remember, recall when you were students, every time when you want to have a evaluation of how you're doing in the classroom, is going to be by comparison. It is always going to be in your own mind, one of your own teachers that you idealized and that you thought that you never could forget, and that you really, really thought that this is the best class or maybe the best teacher I would ever get. So always keep that teacher alive in your memory, and always keep the methodology the teacher took in the class. And this is going to gain a very pleasant feeling for your students as well, because if you remember any of your teachers as being a mentor or as a beacon who is always there like a bright light in the dark and always telling you how to go about in the classroom, do's and don'ts of the classroom, the kids are going to remember you exactly the same way. So student learning is actually the goal of every lesson that you conduct. Dimensions of teacher competence. We already talked about it. I asked you, what do you think about the skills that should be there in a teacher? So answer to these questions. You may reply them in the chat box, or you may write them down on small sheets, and then you can come up with one comprehensive answer. The first question is, what student learning outcomes does the CPD aim to support? Now, this is very important while sitting in a workshop, learning about all those methodologies, learning about all those new techniques of go and use them in the classroom, and all those new materials and all those new activities. You have to understand that every CPD has a clear and defined objective on that is going to directly affect the student learning outcomes. As a result of CPD, in what ways will teachers' competence be enhanced? Now, these questions cannot be answered until I go forward and tell you about the plan, the cycle of CPD. So please don't reply yet. We are going to go to these questions again, and we after we have done the cycle of CPD. As a result of CPD, in what ways will teachers' competence be enhanced? Now, this is more of a question for a CPD planner than for a CPD attender because if you're going to attend the workshop, you're not going to the one who is going to decide which areas need to be touched. This is a very huge you must say that before every planning, there needs to be a very big need analysis, and that need analysis is going to determine whether the CPD that I am going to take has actually going to affect me in my classroom or not. In addition to teachers, who else will benefit from CPD? There are so many programs. I have seen that sometimes there is a language workshop, and the teachers say that we don't need math. Teachers are very angry that they don't want to go to the classroom, the workshop, because they are teaching maths, and what good is going to they get after the English language class? So my point here is that since the medium of communication these days is mostly English, so if there is an opportunity for an mathematics teacher to go into a class where English is being taught as a learning or communication tool, then they should attend it. But if it is a workshop where they're going to teach you how to teach English, then it's a practically useless workshop for maths teachers. In the very same way, a language teacher required by the organization to sit in a math teaching workshop is going to be a waste of time for both the and a resource as well. They can actually make real people sit over there and get the learning instead of wasting all those seats and wasting the time of language teachers. So these are so many things that need to, and most of the times, when we go for individual CPD programs, we get well. We do well in them, we get good progress out of them, and we come out very happy. But many times when we go into the workshops that are organized by the employers or the institute where we are working, 50% of the sessions are the ones that we might not have taken them at all if it was my personal program, not the organization's program. I hope you all agree with me. This is the skills that we were talking about, the teacher skills that we were going to discuss, that the teacher skills that need to be improved. These are some, I'm not saying all, I'm only saying these are some of the skills that I think a teacher must have in order to be effective and influential in the classroom. Autonomy, theoretical knowledge, teaching skills, language proficiency, attitudes and beliefs, reflective skills, collaborative skills. We all know that there are two types of curriculum. One curriculum that is outlined and is shared in writing with the teachers, and then there is a hidden curriculum. Can I have some responses in the chat box if any of you are aware of hidden curriculum? Yes, I'm waiting. What do you think is hidden curriculum? I hope you're all aware of what curriculum is. Okay, curriculum is actually four things. Moral ethical knowledge, is it so? Yes, Manzarali, you're close. Ethical knowledge, moral teaching. Hidden curriculum does not have an outline. It's not taught directly. Okay. And most of the time, hidden curriculum is not taught consciously. I am sure Every one of us have a few teachers they remember from their school, they remember from their college. And yes, cultural norms and expectations, very good. When we say hidden curriculum, when we see teacher competence and its dimensions, we know that there is so much more than the bookish learning and the learning that the teacher is prepared to deliver in the classroom. There is a lot more. These were teacher competence dimensions, and since I have gotten the idea that we don't have much time, I will like to go about it very quickly. Autonomy is theoretical knowledge, teaching skills. We have talked about some of them already in the chat box, and we're going to do it again. Teaching skills, language proficiency, attitudes, and beliefs is the hidden curriculum I was talking about, because these are not the things that are taught in writing. These are the things that your conduct is going to teach the students in the classroom. This was the hidden curriculum I was mentioning. Reflective skills. The teacher should actually give time for reflection to the students in the classroom. After every new topic the teacher has taught, if any one of you have understood the constructivist curriculum or the constructivist methodology, they must have come across the idea of reflection, because learning is incomplete until it is being reflected. And most of the times we give homework for the same purpose. And collaborative skills and with your colleagues. Implications. Ensure that CPD are driven by concern for student learning. Now, again, this is more of a point for a CPD planner and a point for the attendees who are going to go and see whether this program is. Most of the times when we go for these online, like this session, many people who would have registered and joined, they must have joined because they were interested in the topic or the topic was useful for them. So exactly that they are going to know that whether this is a concern for student learning, how this CPD session, this training session is going to help them improving student learning. Feasible objectives must. I have always told my teachers in the school as well that when you're writing for the objectives, don't go for high vocabulary or very big idea. Go for smaller and several objectives. Step by step, achieve one, two, three, and more of them. And these are feasible objectives. The objectives that you can actually attain. You can't make the child a scientist in one class. You are going to need to have several smaller steps. You are going to maybe introduce the child to the electric circuit, and then you're going to tell them about how to connect the poles and then the battery and how the battery works, and then you're going to tell them how the electricity flows in the circuit, and then you're going to demonstrate it. And by the end of these series of lessons, you are going to know that the child is able to build its own direct circuit or whatever circuit it is called in the classroom, whatever lesson you are doing. See, so the objectives of CPD should also be feasible. They should not. Now, me being a teacher of 6 months, I've been there, and I am going to go and get a CPD program which is going to make me a teacher trainer is a little unrealistic. Why is it unrealistic? Because unless and until you have seen the angles and the other views, all the sides of the school, the working of it, your teacher training is not an easy task. You need to have a handful of knowledge yourself to be able to do that. Now you're going to share these objectives with key stakeholders. When I am going to start this session of CPD with you, I am going to clearly, in my intro video, I told you that we are going to be talking about its effectiveness, how to plan effective CPD, and how you can actually go about your improvement in your learning or development in your professional skills. So this is the clearly stating of the objectives. Every CPD must clearly state the objectives that they are going to achieve by the exactly the same way. When you make your lesson plan, you clearly state your objectives, that what you are intending to get out of it. Evaluate success against the objective. It is very important that, like every other lesson, again, I'm again and again quoting the example of lesson plans and classrooms, because CPD is again a classroom. Teachers are again going to learn. So learning you should not end when the university degree has completed or the job has started. Learning should continue, and in our times I think it should never stop. Nobody has thought, 10 years ago, that AI is going to come and going to replace the content writers, or even the program developers, or illustrators or designers. So many things that are being done by AI today are designed by people who used to do these things themselves. Now the programs are doing it for them. So don't underestimate the importance of improving your skills and improving your knowledge and learning, because you have got a degree. Many people have gotten a degree, but they're not good. When COVID started, do you remember how many teachers were there who are unable to go on Zoom and take online classes? They were unable to prepare their own PowerPoint presentations, and they were so out of clue that they did not have any idea how are they going to retain their jobs. It is exactly how way back when the computers were introduced in the offices, the people who were not familiar with the computer or the typing or the keyboard found it very difficult to survive in their workplaces. So CPD is basically it's your skill set improving every passing day, build on existing practices. Now, many CPD programs, what they do is they do not actually focus on the previous knowledge. Every lesson plan starts with the previous knowledge. We never start the lesson until we know what the students already know. The previous knowledge is exactly, it's like an example of an iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg above the water, but you don't see what is underwater. So that previous knowledge is what the child or the learner or the student or the professional hiding under the water. If you start your new learning on the basis of that previous learning, the learning is going to be way more efficient and effective. What they already know, build on it. Very important. You can never, if any of you are familiar with Jean Piaget, he was an educationist. He's called, one of the fathers of constructivist methodology of learning and teaching. He believed that we all have schemas. The previous schemas that we have in our mind, we built on those schemas. Now, the previous schema has a fact, and the fact is stored in my memory. And if there is going to be a new challenging fact that is going to change my previous knowledge, it must first come to terms with my previously known fact. So the new knowledge and the previous knowledge are going to come face to face, and then they're going to come to terms, and then they're going to add into improvement of your concepts. CPD filtered through the lens of what they already know. It is exactly like a lens in the sense that I am looking through my glasses and I know what I can read. For example, if you're going to teach a new language to an adult, we don't do it with younger kids, but in elderly people who, like, for example, if you need to learn a new language, if you're immigrating, or if you're going to need to learn a new language because the employer requires it, or maybe you have to do some assignment on it. So you learn it by comparison with the language you already know, which is called translation method. It is actually not advisable for young learners of language, because this language you intend to teach should only be taught in the classroom. But for adults and elderly learners, you should bring their first language, the language that they know, in comparison with the new language that they know. And then you're going to make some translations in the vocabulary, and you're going to This is going to be the faster way to learning new things. Create awareness of current practices and belief before seeking to change them. How can I, tell you to know? How would I know that I'm teaching something new until I know that what you knew before? So the current practices and beliefs are very important only if I know what you have already been doing in the classroom. Then I can say with confidence that I have taught you something new. Maybe what I think I'm teaching you and is new, you already knew it from your classroom. Teacher development often has limited impact because it attempts to impose new ideas and practices on teachers without addressing the underlying filter of prior experience and knowledge, which can block learning. I cannot go into the classroom and I cannot go into the classroom and claim to teach something new until I know the prior experience and knowledge of the students. In the very same way, the trainer cannot train you unless he knows. For example, if I'm going to teach you how to build a box with wooden blocks, and I don't know that you are able to make the blocks or not, I may start with making the blocks while you already know it. And if I know that you already know how to make the wooden blocks, I will start by putting them together and building into a box. So, prior knowledge and prior experience, exactly as it is important for teachers in the classroom with children as students, is the same with the professionals learning in a workshop or any other training session. Making CPD a situated process. You can never come up with a good professional teaching or development program if it is not connected to the learners. Localized connections to teaching and learning, examples from the context. You have these things you should know, because when you are picking up a good workshop or a good training session or a program, you should be able to know that the trainer who's going to come into your classroom is not only going to take your time and waste it by talking about other classrooms that are so remote to you that you cannot even connect to them, rather relate to them and understand them. So these are, every learning should be powered by examples from the local and the area where they belong to. Relevant teachers curriculum. Now, again, I'm again and again quoting examples from math class, English class, science class, because I think some of the teachers will be either, subject teachers of language or maths or science, or maybe, learning or going to be the teachers soon. So if the examples are not relevant from the classrooms you are going to apply them to, or the curriculum that you're going to see soon, you're not going to make use of them. You're going to just attack them and put them on a side and never think about them again, because you will think of them as a waste of your time. Opportunities to experiment it. Now I remember one workshop I took, and it was very interesting workshop. I took it a few months back, and I really liked the methodology of the trainer. And she told me to use, and she actually used an activity with us, which I went back to my classroom and used it with my kids, and it was so effective that kids loved it, and they would ask me every time I go to class that let's do that thing again. So everything should be located to the setting the CPD is being delivered in. Establish strong connections between CPD and what happens in teacher's classroom. Again, the same thing. Again, the same thing, that CPD, if it is not going to teach you skills or give you knowledge of the things that are going to happen in the classroom, it's not going to help you outside the training session. You are going to go outside, you're going to think about it maybe once or twice, and then you're going to forget it for the rest of your life. So, concrete ideas that gradually extend the current learning can be integrated into. I told you an example. The trainer told us to close our eyes. She gave us all a piece of paper and she told us to fold it once, and we were free to fold it in any side, at any size, at any angle. And then she told us to fold it twice, and then we fold it again, and then she told us to fold it one more time. So after three folds, she told us to tear it. Now it was our choice to tear it from the middle, the corners, or whatever you feel like. And then she said, "Open your eyes and look at the piece of paper you all are holding in your hands." And when we all opened our eyes, we saw that the piece of paper that everybody was holding had a very different shape. All the instructions were same, the language was same, delivered to everybody, but everybody took it in a very different way. So concrete ideas that extend the current understanding, the current knowledge, and that can be integrated into, without any background knowledge, without any background information. And like today's session, unfortunately, I don't know anything about the participants, but I usually would like, then when I'm going into a session, I know what the kids or the people or the students that are going to attend it, and it gives me an advantage of coming up with very relevant examples and very relevant discussion points. Three very important basic competence contents. हमारा focus किस पर होना चाहिए? Content, process, and CPD. Content, what are you going to teach in the class? This PowerPoint presentation is my content. How am I going to process it is my am I going to process it is my methodology. So what teachers are learning, may constructivist, dialogic, collaborative, reflective, inquiry based, or extended information, or maybe I'm going to give you a monologic where you're not going to participate and only I'm going to speak, and in a very generic way I'm going to give you a reading material and then I'm going to take it home and reflect on it. It's going to be very different. So whatever content there is and whatever processes are used are very important in your CPD program. CPD should promote active teacher learning. Exactly in the same way, kids do not understand when you don't engage them in the classroom. If you're only going to go and tell them and come out of the classroom, you will never be sure that whether they understood what you told them or not, unless and until you ask them what you taught them. So these are some of the things that are very important in CPD. Core teacher learning processes may CPD should promote active teacher learning, teaching, and learning. So it's not going to be a focus on the teacher only, it's going to be a focus on learning as well. Sabha ने एक question किया है, and I'm going to go back to it and I will answer it once I'm done with this presentation. I don't know how long this meeting is going to last. This was an activity. We would go to it in the end. So remind me in the chat if I forget to do it, because I would like to ask all of you, why would you go for CPD? And I'm going to share some of the examples from my career and professional life, why I went for CPD. I'm going to go back to that slide in the end of the training session, inshallah. Making teacher training a social process. होता क्या है कि टीचर ट्रेनिंग को इतना आइसोलेट कर देते हैं that it becomes such a tedious and a tiring and a boring thing that nobody wants to go to teacher training. And I know from my personal experience that if and when we are asked to go and attend these workshops at the end of summer break, none of us are happy. Or maybe some of us are because they're getting exactly what they were looking for. But most of us are not getting what they're looking for. So collegial settings may you can actually design your own CPD. It does not have to be organized. It does not have to be planned by the employer. You being colleagues together can actually do it. There are two good writers on the CPD. Teaching improves most in collegial settings where common goals are set and expertise is shared. For example, me sitting in the staff room with some other language teachers who are trying to attain the same objectives in the classroom, and we sitting together and sharing our common goals and setting targets and finding and applying and trying many methodologies in the classroom and then coming back to each other in the very same staff room and talking about the methodology that worked and the methodologies that did not work, and then trying to find out why the methodology worked and why the one that did not work, what's wrong with that. So this is going to be a collegial setting of your personalized CPD, where you sitting with your colleagues you get along with, and the colleagues who are senior to you and have more experience, or maybe including some of the newcomers who would like to learn, or maybe you could learn from their fresh degree or fresh learning. So it is improvement in social capital among existing teachers as professional communities that will yield the greatest and most immediate returns. I am again reinforcing it because this is how we used to do. All the language teachers, we would sit together at least once a week and we would always share. For example, if I'm teaching a novel in my English class and I'm teaching it to, let's say, elementary students, and I tell them that now we have to go through the entire novel, the entire story from one page to the last page, and we have to make it so that every child has attended this class and they know how are we going to do it. Now let's say it's five of us and we're sitting together and everybody is going to pitch in their ideas and they're going to tell whether you ask a good reader should stand up and start reading, or maybe you can give them for homework and they should go home and read the chunk of it and come back, and then you have a good questionnaire prepared for them where you can ask questions and check the knowledge whether the students have actually read it and perhaps they found some difficulties in it which they have marked, and you can address them in the classroom. So there can be 110 ways which a teacher employs for the same novel teaching and learning in the classroom, and this collegial setting gives you an advantage to add into your methodology and learn from your colleagues by adopting their methodologies and sharing your methodologies with them for the same purposes. Reading groups, lesson study, these are collaborative strategies. So many collaborative strategies that one can use in order to improve these are all again personalized, individual CPD options. These are not organized, the employer based. So you can create a reading group, you can make your lesson plans and share with the teachers of the same subject or the same grade, and you can see how you planned it different from the other one, why did you pick something which the other one did not pick, and how what difference did it brought. Online groups, you can go on online groups, there's so many resources online these days that you can go and find the lesson plans, you can compare your plan to their plans, according to your settings you can change, adopt wherever you think appropriate. There is professional learning communities where you can join. Actually, I was once given an invite on LinkedIn from someone teaching in Ireland, and they used to go on some other, unfortunately, I don't remember the name of that social app or connectivity app, and they invited me to it. I joined it and I forgot my password, never downloaded the app and couldn't make. They used to have very good groups and they would always have a chat, and in that chat different teachers from different countries would come up with the ideas of what they're doing in the classroom and how they're doing it in the classroom. And that would be, now me sitting in Pakistan, finding about how students learning literature in Ireland or Scotland or Germany or anywhere else is a very good idea of knowing and getting hang of new methodologies. There is peer observation. If you think that you are teaching something and the kids every time come up with poor grades, or they come up with so many questions and you answer them and still the learning is not happening in the classroom, you can always request any of your colleagues and you can sit in the class and see how they're delivering the same lecture which you are finding difficult to deliver. There is mentoring. We don't do it here in Pakistan, but everywhere in the world we have mentors and they always guide us and they tell us about how to improve you in every profession. It's not teaching only. Lawyers have mentors, doctors have mentors, engineers have mentors, and even I recommend that even if you're not a professional and you should have a mentor, because somebody else's experiences are going to show you. You can either juxtapose them. It's not necessary that whatever the mentor says you're going to agree to it and follow it and be obedient and do it whatever. No, you are going to have a critical appreciation of your own ideas through somebody else's lens, and then you're going to compare how you took it and how the mentor saw it, and it's going to be a very good critical study of your own methodologies. Reflection groups, collaborative action research. It's a very good idea to have an action research. What we do here in Pakistan is we have evaluation of the teaching practices by the teachers in the classrooms done by their superiors. Sometimes it's the coordinators or the HMs or the principals themselves doing it. You can actually use those evaluations and use them as the data of your action research, how things are done in the classroom, and that data can help the schools improve their teaching methodologies a lot. You just need ongoing support to engage inside. Now, these are, they sound very good. I'm sure you guys are appreciating, and I would like to see a few chat comments about all these strategies that I have just told you. And I'm sure that they sound very appealing, but trust me, if any one of you have actually taught in a classroom, you know how tedious the job is. Even you go home, you bring homework, you have copy checking, you have correction work, you have evaluations, you have examinations, and you have lesson plannings, and then you have administrative work as well. You don't only do you have to make a database, result making. It is a very tiring job, and you think that this is very easy. No, no, it's not easy. Nothing is easy unless you get support. So this support may come from your colleagues, this may come from your employer, this may come from the Ministry of Education, this may come from the NGOs. All you have to do is keep looking for these resources that are there. For example, Sindh Educational Organization is supporting CPD, which is a very good initiative, and I really, really appreciate that. So this is something you found as a support to your development program. Okay, how should you view CPD? You should not view it as a single event. Now I attended this workshop, very good. This is enough for my lifetime. No, this is not enough for your lifetime. You have to do it again, repeat it, keep on doing it. How extended? It should not be, it doesn't have to be one whole. This one session should not be the entire session for you. You should be able to go on to more sessions like this. It doesn't have to be one and once and for all, but there will be many stages. Maybe next time I can come up with a better topic of CPD planning, and maybe next time I can come up with furthering from where I stopped. And there actually were 3 workshops I attended on the same topic, and this is just a part of it. So yes, it has to be an extended program. Ensure that teachers are innovating. Otherwise, the sole purpose of CPD is useless. I mean it when I say innovating. Innovation क्या है? Can someone answer me in the chat box? कि teaching में innovation क्या है? I'm opening my chat box. What is in CPD challenges? Very good. Aksa challenge include time constraints, relevance, cost, access. Okay. My question was, what is innovation? Innovation. I would like to get some replies if possible. I'm looking at my chat box and I want to know, what do you think is innovation? How do we ensure that the teachers are innovating in the classroom? Okay, innovation, the word means to making something new. You're right, Nadia. But what do I mean by it? What do I mean by it in the classroom? Okay, let me tell you something. When I joined a school, I'm not going to name the school. I saw that the teachers, language teachers over there, were teaching the same book, the same novel for, let's say, past 7 years. Very good. Construct new ideas. 7 years. And what they used to do, the lesson plan that she made the first time, she's going to use exactly the same because the syllabus never changed, the curriculum never evolved. So the teacher would be teaching the same book again next year and again, next year and again, next year. And she's not going to innovate because she has a lesson plan made. She's going to copy it and paste it to the next year's planner. And she's going to go to the classroom with new students and deliver exactly the same lesson plan with the same resources and the same vocabulary and the ideas. And she's going to go home very satisfied because she has not done anything new in the classroom, and she's so comfortable in it that she would not want the syllabus to change forever. So this is a very sad state of classrooms. When I was there in that school, I asked them either change the book or change the grade so that I don't have to teach the same class in the same way every time, because that's what they wanted to do. They never wanted to go on to changing the curriculum or changing the classroom, and it was a very disappointing state. And then eventually help came in a very good shape, and I was given a different class next year. Otherwise I would be bored to go to the same lesson plan because they would never recommend changing it. So I mean it when I say innovate, even if it is the same lesson that you have to teach for another 10 years to 10 different set of students. Innovate every time, go with a new lesson plan. I was once being evaluated in my classroom, and I was used to take three sections of the same grade, and the evaluator took the lesson, and she said, I hope you do same in every classroom. I said, no, I can't deliver the same lesson plan exactly the same way in every classroom. And she was amazed that why would you not do it? And I was amazed that why can't she understand that the students are not same in every classroom. The learning that occurred here is not going to be exactly the same way it occurs in the other classroom. You have to innovate while conducting the lesson plan that you have just made. And you may be very innovative in your lesson plan, but you don't know whether in the next classroom you would be able to do it because the responses from the students change the course of the lesson. You have to go and design your learning, your teaching according to the learning of the student, not according to what you have written in the piece of paper. So I hope you understand that. G. This is personal plan, continuing professional development. This chat box is GCPD plan. I have a plan example. I will share it with you later on. I have a proper table drawn where you can see how CPD can help you. Okay, even if you're not expected to undertake CPD for your role, that is, there are no requirements that you take certain courses for your job, it is still important to consider. Don't take development programs just because the school wants you to or the employer wants you to. Take it for yourself. I told you, COVID came and many teachers had to go out of job. Computer came and many professionals went home because they were unable to come to terms with working on computers. So please tell yourselves, be prepared in every way to meet the newest technological needs that you might be required to do at your workplace. You should be able to progress in your career. Taking extra training will increase your skill base and employability. It does not only make you a better learner than before person, but it also makes you more employable. The more your skills grow, the better chances of your growth in the job as well. Now we go to CPD cycle. What is it? Very simple and very easy. If I want to go for a CPD cycle myself, I will see what I have done. What degrees do I have? I'm going to go. This is the stage one identification. I'm going to go see, okay, what have I studied? Okay, this degree helps me in subject knowledge. This degree helps me in teaching practices. This degree helps me with my new technology needs. Very good. Now, do I need to build on it? What are the areas where I need to build on? Everyone knows their weak areas and everyone knows their strong areas. It is impossible that you are an educated and a learned person and you do not know what is your weakness as a professional and what are your strong points. We know maybe I don't have good communication skills, maybe I'm good at writing things down, but I'm not good at saying them out loud. Maybe I shy away from situations where there are people and I have to represent my ideas. So there are so many things, and only we know what we're strong in and we know what we are weak in. Again, if you're not sure about it, go to your collegial settings, go to your colleagues and ask them. Ask them, what do you think I can do more to improve or learn something that can help me better in the classroom? Now you have identified. Identification is done. Next step, you have to plan. It's not going to happen every day that you go online and find something ideally, suitable for your uh, needs and your skills, and you're going to go and you're going to wait and check, and it's not going to happen like that. You are going to have to look for it, you are going to wait for it, you're going to plan it. Now everybody knows that midterm and end term are very difficult paths, and it's very difficult time for a teacher. Their teachers are making it papers, and examination papers are being submitted, and sometimes you have to make three options, two options, and then there are changes, and then you get to copy them and count them, and then stapling is required. These are very, very tiring jobs the teacher does in the classroom. And there is a very good session online, and it is exactly at the same time you are, and you can't make time. It's impossible for you to go and attend it. So you need to plan. If you think you have enrolled in a session that falls in the time where you're going to have to mark the examination papers and you're going to prepare the result, then you have to plan. You can't attend it and you can't do it unless you're a superhuman. So, what you're going to do is you're going to plan the session when the time is available, when the resources are available, and when you can actually benefit from it. Now that you have identified your problems, you have a plan ready, now you're going to put it into action. Yes. So we were talking about action. Now that you have identified your problems, you have made a plan. Now you're going to put them into action. You have attended the session. For example, you identified that you need to know how to grow professionally and how to keep on doing it. You attended this SEO session, you registered for it, you planned maybe 10 days ago, and you planned it and you found it online and you took the action of registering and attending it, and now you're going to, after the session, what are you going to do according to this cycle? What are you going to do? You are going to review. You are going to sit down, you're going to remember whatever you remember from this session. If you have taken screenshots or anything else from the PowerPoint or anything else that you could remember, you're going to review. Was this a beneficial session? How much did you get out of it? What did you like about it? Are you going to make use of it? And then after this review, again, you're going to take action. You are going to decide that whatever you learned in this session is going to be implemented in the classroom. This is where the action comes. You're going to take action, and then this action is going to show you how you have improved in your skills, how you have. Now this CPD session is going to help you choose a better program which actually is relatable to your classroom, to your curriculum, to your settings, to the employer you're working for, and that learning goals, whether they are PLOs or they are SLOs. And after taking action, putting them into practice and trying them on, you are going to go back to reflection. And then you're going to reflect whether this action that I took helped me. If it did, to what extent it did. And if it did help you to a good extent, are you going to do it again, repeat it? And then again, after some time, you will be to the point of the cycle where the cycle is the circle or the cycle is it goes and goes on and on and on. It doesn't stop. So what you are going to do is you are again going to analyze whether you need some other training to work on some of the areas that were not touched upon last time, and you want to work on them again and touch upon them and improve them as well. So this is a very basic and simple CPD cycle, which is helping you to identify the areas that need to be improved and then getting a plan for them, finding resources for them, and then attending the sessions, making the workshops, going through the training, whatever it is, and then going back home and reviewing it whether this CPD actually taught me something, and taking things out of that CPD program that you learned and then putting them into action. After putting them into action, reflecting on them, what improvements they brought, did the improvement further need improvement, and then you're going to identify further what was left last time and what I can gain again. So I told you it doesn't have to be a one time training, a one time session. It is going to be an extended program with several stages in it where you're going to realize I have done step one, I must move on to step two, and then after step two, move on to step three, and thus you are going to grow and you are going to develop in your professional skills. And this is the personal CPD program I was talking about. Let me enlarge it so that you can see it. You can't read it. Again, the first one says training need, objectives, activity, resources needed, time frame, output, practical output क्या है और उसका outcome क्या है. For example, when I say training needs, that's what is that from your cycle identification. Objective, again, identification. What do you want to get out of your program? And activity is your action plan. Resources needed is what are the things that are required for the CPD, and time frame is again how long are you going to go through this training, how many sessions are you going to attend, whether you're going to make it a 1 week program, 2 week program, 1 day program. These are going to be your time. This is going to be your time frame, and then you are going to go assess whether you learned something, what were the outcomes, how did you put them into practice, and what the practices brought you. Let's conclude our session. Wherever possible, I'm going to read it to you. It's very simple. I just wrote it down so that I don't forget something. Wherever employees should take opportunities when their employer offers help, but whatever it is, you should take the opportunity. They should take at a training course. They will only become a better employee, colleague, and teammate. There isn't a downside to CPD training. There is no loss. Even if you learned something which was not relevant currently, it may be relevant later on. If you learned something that you think you can't apply right away, maybe you can apply it next year or maybe after that. So don't think that this CPD program was useless. Always go for it. CPD shows employees stand for self-development, and it is a very positive impression in the eyes of the employer as well. You know, if I am sitting there in my job 20 years down the lane and I haven't done anything new, my employer is going to think of me as something which is outdated. And if I am a very active learner and I am keeping on taking newer trainings and programs, my employer is going to realize that I am not a useless, outdated liability on him. I am learning and I am going through it and I am improving and I am going to be a good asset to the company in the years to come as well. So the current and future employers will respect that they take time to invest in themselves or have sought support from their employer to achieve more in their job. Sometimes we even go and take some companies actually pay the fee of the colleges and universities where their employees go and get improved degrees in their relevant fields. Course delivery can be flexible both in its format and how it is delivered. Face to face and online training are both options. Most of the times, when employers do it, they make us sit face to face, which is very effective because I really feel in today's session that I would like to interact more, and I would like to hear you guys and see your faces and your responses. And it is a very rewarding situation where you keep on looking at the students' face. There is no substitute to face. But when it is not available, online training is not a bad option. It is better than nothing. The one that will be best in for companies' circumstances depends on what they want to learn, their budget and their learning. Again, understand that at this time of stage of your professional life, it's not going to be what you want. It is always going to be dictated by what budgets the employer has, what budgets do you have. More than budget, when you're working, you are very short of time. What time frames can you dedicate to it, and how you can do it? I'm going to go through some of these questions that you guys asked. How will this CPD impact students learning outcome? Okay, how is this going to impact this particular session? Abdul Basit, you are an engineer. I understand your question. Abdul Basit, if you are there and you're listening to my answer, I would like you to write something in the chat so that I can know I'm talking to you. This CPD session, how is this going to help you? I told you that this CPD session is going to help you in identifying a good program for your growth. When I say that I want to know as an engineer, what are my skills? What skills I need to know? I was once working with an event management company, and they did this great event of petroleum, oil, and gas companies, and many companies joined them. And I was amazed to see that all they did was they used to come to the rostrum and read their papers, their researches, and their programs. Okay, I think I got an answer. Yes. So I was very impressed. That was really beginning of my career, and I found out that even the world's most successful oil and gas companies gather every year, do these conferences, share their experiences, and learn from each other's experiences. So, this particular CPD session is going to help you identify and make you able to know that you have a need to improve. And no matter how good you are, even if you're at the peak of your career, there is always something new that you can learn, and the willingness to do that. And if you know the areas and you can identify them, then you are able to plan and take action, and then you review and then keep on continuing the cycle that gives you an I hope I've answered your question, Abdul Basit. What are the challenges in CPD? There are so many challenges. I again told you, when I'm working, I would like to go and attend so many seminars. I would like to go and attend conferences. I would like to go and attend training programs, but I am unable to do it because physically I have a duty and I have a timetable and I have to follow it. And then the other challenges are budgets. Maybe someone can actually make time to go and attend, but they don't have the money to do it. So unless and until it is a volunteer session or a free session, there can be many challenges. The time can be a challenge, money can be a challenge, your inability to identify your need can be a challenge. So there can be many challenges, Abdul Wasif. Okay, challenge include time constraints, relevance, cost, access, and measure. But you somebody, I did too. Very good at ongoing learning and development. Very right, very right. Okay. How will this CPD impact students' learning outcomes and experiences? This is again Abdul Basit. Abdul Basit, this CPD is not going to directly impact your student learning outcomes and experiences. This CPD is going to impact in improve in you as a professional. And when you are going, yes, so Sabah Fatima, this CPD session is not going to directly impact your classroom, but as a result of this session, when you are going to go and identify your needs, and you're going to go and identify your requirements to perform better in the classroom and work on your weaker areas, then you will see the outcomes of this session, which made you aware of the need of improvement and skill development. How can I balance the demand? I told you this is one of the challenges. You have to. Many times we are lucky being teachers, we get summer break. We don't get it like kids get it for 3 months or 2.5 months, but we still get it. And this is the ideal time where you should relax, rejuvenate, and read. So don't think that just because we are tired and we need to relax. No, always take an opportunity, make time for learning, and make time for improvement because it is very important. So you have to balance it. You can go for a training session of time management for that. That would be a good session as well, and getting support as well. You can always get support. We know teachers are overworked, very tough schedules and very deadlines are, most of the times, you have to finish this by this and you have to deliver it and you have to submit it. I understand because I have worked as a teacher, as an HM. I have worked as a trainer. I have worked as a planner, and I know everything is time bound and it is difficult. But Bella, we have to, in the end, make time for things which are important in life. Okay, I think these were answered. Oh, yes, that's it. That is it. So if anyone has any other question, I am open to it. Otherwise, we can end this session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here for so long and sharing such a valuable knowledge. And we are waiting just 2 minutes so that if anyone has question, they will ask. Guys, if anyone wants to ask question, please raise your hand or type in the chat box.
No problem, Ji. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have understood and enjoyed the session. I'm really thankful for the opportunity myself. Welcome, Misbah. Thank you very much. Muhammad Ijaz Hassan. All right, if it is
Okay.
done, I would I would like to. Thank you very much, everybody. Allah Hafiz. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Goodbye.